Lexington-based printer maker Lexmark International announced today it's cutting 550 jobs worldwide. That's about 4% of its workforce. That begins today's WKYT Money Watch. The company would not say if any of those layoffs will take place at its Lexington headquarters. The cuts are part of a restructuring plan expected to save the company $67 million this year and $100 million next year. Lexmark says the jobs will be eliminated over the next 12 months. 2,300 people work at its Lexington facility. Lexington has been recognized by Money Geek as one of the best mid-sized cities in the U.S. to make a living. Lexington ranks 31st on the list. Factors included the median salary compared to the cost of living in the city. They also compared the cost of living ranking based on the national average. Lexington came in at 91.2 out of 100. A new survey finds only 52% of Americans have more emergency savings than credit card debt. Bankrate.com says that number has held steady in the past 5 years, even though the economy has improved. The study also found 1 out of 5 Americans has no credit card debt, but they also don't have any savings.
We continue to track a big storm system toward the Bluegrass State. It's going to bring a little of everything packed in a very short amount of time, and I'm tracking it all next.
A former preacher accused of rape is back in a Lexington courtroom. We're in court for the hearing, and we'll tell you what happened now at 4. And a big game tonight in Rupp Arena as the Cats hope to stay on top of the Southeastern Conference. Rob Bromley is live with a preview.
This is WKYT News at 4.
Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Palumbo on what's turned out to be a fantastic February day. Here's a live look at Rupp Arena, where more than 20,000 fans will be for tonight's UK game. Temperatures are close to 60 degrees right now, but enjoy it while you can because another winter storm is on the way. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey joins us, and Chris, UK fans may need a raincoat, but not a winter coat tonight.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and because this is a winter storm doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be producing all winter weather during the entire event. It has a lot of stuff coming from the sky over the next couple of days. Let's focus on this storm system that is now beginning to crank right now across parts of Texas and Louisiana. Look at the curlicue around this storm system. Severe weather out ahead of this. Major outbreak of tornadoes across parts of the Gulf Coast states. Across Kentucky, we're beginning to get the clouds to thicken up. Notice the rains that are starting to show up as well into parts of the volunteer state of Tennessee. All of that will really develop as we go through the rest of the evening. And by late evening, rain across Tennessee will increase and really fill in across most of the Bluegrass State. Right now, up close and personal, central and eastern Kentucky, not a whole lot that is out there. That'll change, though, later tonight. We go through tomorrow and into Thursday. This multi kind of threat system, I don't see one major threat coming from this. It's just a lot of wicked weather all wrapped into one. Heavy rain late tonight, tomorrow morning can cause some local flooding issues of streets and streams. Thunder and lightning a possibility. High winds tomorrow and Thursday could top 40 miles an hour, and it is late tomorrow evening into Thursday. Jennifer, a light, wet snowfall is possible across much of central and eastern Kentucky. So thunder, lightning, 60s, and yes, we may cover the ground with some snow before all is said and done. We'll track that with a new hour-by-hour forecast to show you just how quickly we go from thunder to snow in just a few.
We'll see you in 15 minutes. Thanks, Chris. The case is moving forward against a former Lexington preacher accused of using his position to rape a juvenile. Tony Sasnet is charged with 4 counts of rape, sexual abuse, and prohibited use of an electronic communication system. He used to work for the Greater Faith Apostolic Church. WKYT's Mike Byer is in downtown Lexington with the latest from today's hearing. It's our top story at 4.
After a lengthy testimony from a Lexington detective, district court has ruled that a local church director used his position at church to have sex with a teenage girl.
In the month of October 2015, they met in a parking lot here in Fayette County, and while they were following each other, Mr. Sasson says, "I'm in charge now," and at that point in time, he began having sexual intercourse with her.
After Detective Tyler Smith's testimony, Sasnet's attorney told the judge they dispute that he was in a position of special trust with the girl, who was 16 at the time. However, district court found probable cause, meaning Sasnet's case will be handed over to the grand jury. The 39-year-old is now facing several charges, including first-degree sexual abuse, 4 counts of third-degree rape, and 1 count of using electronic communication to get a minor to do a sexual offense. A police report says Sasnett, who worked for the Greater Faith Apostolic Church, met the girl at church. The arrest citation also says the victim's phone had sexually explicit messages from Sasnett, as well as messages asking for nude photos.
While reviewing her messages on her phone, I saw where they had discussion about having sex. She said, "I don't understand why you're wanting to have sex with me."
Now, the pastor at the church tells us in an email that Sasnett, who is a part-time employee, no longer works for the church. In Lexington, Mike Byer, WKYT.
At this time, Sasnett's trial date has not been scheduled. His bond remains at $10,000. Chairman of the Fayette County Board of Education, John Price, has died after a 2-year fight with cancer. Price was first appointed to the school board in 2003. He'd been battling leukemia. His term was set to expire at the end of this year. The State Department of Education says the Education Commissioner will appoint Price's replacement. The company that owns the 2 cranes involved in the Centerpoint project in downtown Lexington expects work at the site to resume. The president of Maxim Crane told us today his company works with Dudley Webb. The cranes are paid in full, and he anticipates work to resume on the underground parking garage. The comments come one day after we obtained a letter from the city of Lexington to the crane company informing them of the city's intention to fill in the hole if the Webb company does not resume work by March 30th. That's the day extensions given to Dudley Webb on a city order to resume work run out. Our reporters are working on a number of other stories for WKYT starting at 4:30. Sam Dick is in the newsroom with a look at some of the news in progress. Good afternoon, Sam.
Good afternoon, Jennifer. The University of Kentucky is alerting students to a possible case of bacterial meningitis on campus. In a letter to students, UK officials said the student has the bacterial infection that causes meningitis, and confirmation of that diagnosis is still pending. This comes just days after 3 cases of mumps were confirmed on the UK campus, but students say they're not too worried.
It seemed like they did a pretty good job of catching illnesses, like they had the mumps. They sent out a lot of emails about that. So I'm seeming pretty confident that they can take care of things like that.
Students who came into contact with the sick student have been given medication as a precaution. Officials say that anyone who has not been contacted is not at an increased risk. We'll have more on this health alert on WKYT News coming up at 5. Across the state, students taking part in tornado drills to kick off Severe Weather Awareness Week. Mill Creek Elementary in Lexington held their drill at 10:07 a.m. It took 500 students about a minute and a half to make their way to the gym on the bottom floor and about another minute to take cover. School leaders say the drills are very important, especially with severe weather season on the way.
Every good athletic coach, they practice so once the game is on, they're prepared. It's the same situation. We practice and hopefully the game never happens. But if it does, we are prepared.
This is not the first time students have practiced a tornado drill this year. They regularly practice fire drills and earthquake drills as well. We'll have more on the drill on WKYT News at 4:30. That's a look at some of the news in progress. Jennifer, back to you.
Thank you, Sam. The 16th ranked Kentucky Wildcats play their 3rd game in 5 days tonight against Alabama. The Cats hope to bounce back after that overtime loss at Texas A&M. Rob Bromley is live at Rupp Arena, where tip-off is less than 3 hours away. Hi, Rob.
Hello, Jennifer, and the Wildcats here tonight to go into this game with 4 games left in the season. They are 1 game ahead in the SEC, and it's hard to believe this is the next to last home game of the season. Now, Kentucky fans know John Calipari's focus is on the postseason. March, winning the NCAA. But the Cats would love to win the league and be the #1 seed in the upcoming SEC tournament. Assistant Tony Barbie says the conference title is important.
Yeah, I think it's big, particularly kind of how we came out of non-conference play. I think there were some question marks for everybody about this team and where we were headed, and the guys really rallied around each other and turned things around. And so we talk about it all the time that, it's important for these guys to win the SEC, and even though we lost the game in College Station, we still remain in first place, and the guys were excited about that.
And it is Kentucky and Alabama. The game on ESPN tonight. It will tip off at 7 o'clock. Coming up a little bit later at 5 o'clock, the Cats, beat Alabama down in Tuscaloosa back in January, but the Tide is a different team than what Kentucky saw then. We'll talk about it in the next hour. Jennifer, that's it from here in Rupp. Back to you.
Thank you, Rob. After tonight, the Cats are back on the road playing at Vanderbilt in Nashville Saturday. Now to a story making headlines across the nation at 4. The Obama administration has offered a plan to close Guantanamo Bay 7 years after President Obama vowed to close the facility. Though the broad outlines of the administration's closure plan have been known for months, today's announcement did have a few surprises about the strategy for emptying the military facility. Andrew Spencer has details on the plan and reaction from Washington.
For many years, it's been clear that the detention facility at Guantanamo Bay does not advance our national security. It undermines it.
President Barack Obama is calling for the closure of the Guantanamo Bay detention facility, delivering the long-awaited plan to Congress Tuesday morning.
Keeping this facility open is contrary to our values. It undermines our standing in the world. It is viewed as a stain on our broader record of upholding the highest standards of rule of law.
The blueprint involves transferring most of the detainees to other countries. The rest, deemed too dangerous to be moved abroad, would be relocated to a detention facility in the United States. The plan identifies 13 possible U.S. transfer sites, including a military prison in Leavenworth and the federal Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado. Senator Bernie Sanders offered up his support for the plan, releasing a statement saying, quote, "I am encouraged to see that the president is sending Congress a plan to shut down the Guantanamo Bay prison. As I have said for years, the prison at Guantanamo must be closed as quickly as possible." Reactions from other presidential candidates have not been so positive.
We're not going to close Guantanamo.
Don't shut down Gitmo, expand it, and let's have some new terrorists there.
Before any transfers to U.S. soil could take place, legal obstacles would likely have to be overcome. Administration officials say they are planning conversations with lawmakers, but the outcome remains hazy. I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
It's time for Better Living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. Good news for overweight people trying to slim down. You don't have to lose a lot to improve your health. Researchers in St. Louis found just a 5% weight loss could spark the biggest health benefits. Even a 10-pound weight loss in a person weighing 200 pounds cut the diabetes and heart disease risk and improved metabolic function. Researchers in the Netherlands have found that anxious and depressed parents are more likely to have children who are fussy eaters. They tracked thousands of family members and found the more anxious the parents were, even during pregnancy, the more likely their preschoolers would be picky eaters. Parents are heading back to class so they can help students with homework. As Jamie Yuckas found out, even the parents of kindergartners need a refresher.
It starts with addition and subtraction.
These moms and dads are learning computer reading skills at Parent University. Do you teach, Mom?
Yeah, sometimes.
Joanne Saracini is back in class with her kindergartner, Nicole.
We now get the understanding of how they're being taught so we can help them better and not get frustrated.
School districts across the country offer the classes for free. Teachers say they're very popular. This one on Long Island had more than 60 parents eager to participate.
Did you ever think you'd have to go back to school to help your kids with school?
No. I finished my master's degree like 5 years ago. I figured that was it.
It's not just learning the technology. Parents need a refresher because reading and math are being taught so differently now.
What do they call the things with the circles and the bonds? The bonds, number bonds.
The school started the classes to help parents learn more about the Common Core curriculum, which sets national standards for English and math. But now they touch on a variety of topics.
We're trying to reach out to parents to say the standard way that we learned is no longer that way, so we need to bring you in with us, bring you into the fold and help you so that you're successful at home and supporting your child.
That's why parents are prepared to continue their education.
If they're moving at the pace that they're moving now in kindergarten, I can only imagine what it's going to be like by second, third, fourth grade.
As their children are meeting the challenge, these parents are determined to as well. Jamie Yuckas, CBS News.